evening. Welcome to Talking Heads Night here at Draftsman Ale Works. I'd like to begin by thanking our hosts, Scott, Stefan, and Draftsman Ale Works for hosting this exciting event. I'm a lifelong Talking Heads fan, hardcore fan, as many of you are. And I'm also good friends with the author of this book, David Starkey, Talking Heads track by track. And you can imagine my excitement when my good friend just happens to be writing a book about my favorite band. So it's been a joy to watch him through this process and to bring everyone together for this special night to celebrate this special music. So without further ado, let me introduce David Starkey.
Well, thank you, everybody. So what we're going to do is basically this. I am going to do a couple of pretty well-known Talking Head songs, and I'm going to do the song, and then, strangely, I'm going to read my own analysis of that song from the book.
Can you drink water while you do it?
And then after that's over, I'm going to bring I think they're kind of unofficially called the Talking Heads Galita Choral Society, and that's some friends of mine, and they'll be singing background on a second Talking Head song. And then I'll read the shorter passage about that, and then we're going to have a short interview where David, who is, to my mind, one of the biggest Talking Heads experts in the world. He will interview me and probably catch me out on some things that I don't know. If you've ever been to a book lunch, louder? Okay. If you've ever been to to a book launch, the idea is that you get the people. You feel like they have enough content for driving out to the place, but they don't leave before they buy your book, right? So we're going to try and keep this in about 25 minutes so nobody leaves before buying the books out. I should say I have this little grocery bag. There's probably about 10 or 12 of them in here. But David convinced me that there were going to be so many purchasers of this book that I should order some more from the publisher in Britain. It has to go through all this customs and stuff like that. It's a dangerous thing. So we're hoping, for David's sake, that we'll be able to sell all this. All right.
Before I came here,
you can't even finish. You're talking a lot, but you're not saying anything. When I have nothing to say, I look to see you. Say something once, why say it again? A psycho killer, a kiss cassette. speak French, so I'm going to have to go to my phone here because I forgot the actual thing. And he goes. Ce soir-là, c'est que ce soir-là, liaison mon espoir, je repasse à la sound of the way. We are vain and we are blind. I can't people with their heart to light. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? I had the French lyrics printed out in big letters and I forgot them at home. So here is my analysis of this pretty famous song. So again, as David suggested, the book is called Talking Heads on Track, and it's an analysis of every song that the band ever recorded. Talking Heads' first song resembling a hit. This was Talking Heads' first song resembling a hit, and it remains one of their most recognizable and popular. By the time we arrive at the album's 10th song, this is on Talking Heads 77, after so many permutations of the unreliable narrator, we have little trouble imagining the singer as a psycho killer. Byrne spoke to Terry Gross on her radio show Fresh Air. This is a quote. I thought I would try and write something that was maybe a cross between Alice Cooper and Randy Newman. And I thought I'd have the kind of dramatic subject that Alice Cooper might use, but then look at a kind of interior monologue, the way Randy Newman might do it. And so I thought, let's see if we can get inside this guy's head. So we're not going to talk about the violence or anything like that, but we'll just get inside the guy's head. It's all muddled up with his slightly twisted thoughts. That's another quote. A significant part of what makes the song so recognizable is the opening bass line. 7 quick, evenly spaced plucks of the A note, followed by a quick E and G, then the part immediately repeats. It's simple yet ominous, and the bass is a pounding reminder of the narrator's madness throughout. In verse 1, the speaker admits that he, quote, can't seem to face up to the facts and that he can't sleep because his bed's on fire. There are echoes of the Ramones' Chainsaw, but this psycho killer is not a cartoon character. Instead, Byrne suggests rather than states his madness, which makes his character seem genuinely menacing, especially after verse 2, where he fixates on people who talk too much. Say something once, why say it again? There's a bit of tongue-in-cheek irony here, of course, coming from a singer-songwriter who's been repeating choruses and verses throughout the album. The chorus itself is a surprising melange. The singer appears to out himself as a psycho killer in the opening lines, and pourquoi he breaks into French. Qu'est-ce que c'est? We wonder what he means by, what is this? Next comes a run of nonsense syllables we've heard throughout the record, though Byrne has suggested in interviews that there is an allusion to Otis Redding's fa 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 sad song. Then the singer advises someone, us, his victims, himself, to run away. Not content to make the point once, why say it again, he repeats the incantation in the second half of the chorus. In the book Remain in Love, Chris France claims that the song was written in his painting studio at the Rhode Island School of Design with Weymouth. While the exact line attributions may be hazy, all agree that Weymouth wrote the French bridge lines. On Fresh Air, Burns said he envisioned that the psycho killer would imagine himself as very erudite and sophisticated, and so he would sometimes speak in French. So I, he says, went to Tina, who had grown up some of the time in Brittany, and her mother is French, and I said, oh, can you help me? We want him to say something pretty grand here, but say it in French, as if he's going to tell us what kind of ambitions he has and how he sees himself. Roughly translated, the lines are, what I did that night, what she said that night, realizing my hope, I launched toward glory. Then in English, the singer throws down the gauntlet, possibly just before his next kill. Quote, I hate people when they're not polite. The chorus repeats, and then the song ends with the music mirroring the speaker's madness. The guitar is jittering and not quite making sense anymore. Clearly, something unpleasant is happening in those final moments before the song ends on a held chord with a hint of feedback. So that's my analysis. And now, as Mr. Bean said, I'm getting very near the end of this analysis. And now I would like to bring up the Goleta Talking Heads Choral Society. So that's you here, and Sandy, Eric.
I'll get you one. You and Sandy don't.
here, Sandy, Eric, the Talking Heads to lead the Choral Society.
So great, Sandy.
And now I will read my considerably shorter analysis of heaven. So this is on their third album, Fear of Music. And I say, the opening chords here suggest that we might be in for another country song, a la The Big Country from more songs about buildings and food. Indeed, in the book, The Band and Their Music, David Byrne says he started Heaven trying to emulate Neil Young. And when Byrne begins singing, he sounds downright mellow, far from the agitated vocals of the first two albums. Harrison's acoustic piano playing is melancholy and reassuring. The music credited to Byrne and Harrison is surely one reason for the song's success, but it's the argument of the lyric that is so striking. Essentially, the singer's contention is that the ideal condition for eternity is stasis and repetition. It's hard to imagine that nothing at all could be so exciting, could be this much fun. For someone shy, socially awkward, and worn down by the rigors of constant touring and self-promotion, a place where nothing ever happens and everyone leaves at the same time might indeed seem like heaven. But of course, not everyone found this vision of a perpetually inert heaven appealing. In his book, Remain in Love, the peripatetic drummer Chris France writes, "The lyrics are pretty cynical, and it's ironic that some people have chosen this as their wedding or funeral song. Can it really be anyone's idea of heaven? That it is a place where nothing ever happens? Weird," he concludes. Nevertheless, heaven has appealed to a host of other artists, from Eric Burdon to Simply Red, to those singing in German and Swedish. Something about the idea of retreating from novelty and constant action resonates widely. Among the most moving covers of the song are the country-inflected version by Katie Lang and the Nationals version on the Stop Making Sense tribute album. Perhaps it's an exaggeration to call Heaven a contemporary standard, but it certainly holds up well when performed by a variety of singers, and the original version continues to sound magnificent. So, thank you. I didn't know how I was going to work in a reading from a book like this. This is basically an encyclopedia, so I give myself 2 thumbs up for that innovation. And now I'm going to call my good friend David Sherman up to the mic, and we're going to have a little conversation. Yeah.
Make sure the other mic's on.
Yeah. Louder? Try now.
Okay.
Mine's too loud? Not loud enough. Less reverb. Less reverb.
All right, hi everyone. Let's have another round of applause for David and his family. As a lifelong fan of the band, it was just a thrill to be able to listen to each album, then read David's analysis, which you just listened to, and then listen to the album again. And it's added new depth and meaning and connection to this music that I've always loved. So I guess the obvious question is, why Talking Heads? Why did you want to focus on this band, and what connection has it had in your life?
Well, unlike you, I was not the uber Talking Heads fan. I bought their first album when it came out in 1977 when I was a lad of 14. I knew, though, that was this big open thing that I remembered so much. Like, I remembered Fear of Music, the great third album. And I didn't know the album Naked at all, their last album. I had picked up a copy of True Stories, which is generally considered their weakest album, on a cassette. And I played that cassette in my car over and over. I thought it was fabulous. So it was just a chance, I think, for me to kind of go into the place where that you already inhabited.
So, I don't know if folks who've seen Stop Making Sense kind of picked up on what David did earlier, but like the movie, it starts just with David Byrne playing Psycho Killer, and then he gets enveloped by the love of his community and the band as the band comes out, and as we saw with the Goleta singers. And so I thought that was a beautiful homage to the movie.
It was an homage.
And it made me want to ask about the movie, because in some ways, Stop Making Sense is their most famous cultural product, more so than any other album. So how did the making of that movie or the existence of that movie kind of shape people's perceptions of the band and shape your perceptions of the music?
I mean, I think it has probably shaped a lot of people's perceptions. When I was writing this book, it felt like a big roadblock for me, I have to admit, because I was focused on the songs, the words, the music, and then suddenly there's this big visual thing that was so impressive and like a juggernaut. So I think I sort of wrote that at the end just because I didn't quite know what to do with it. I mean, it does show Talking Heads as this great live band, right? And one of the interesting things about them, I was in punk bands when I was growing up in Sacramento. The Assholes, I want to give a shout out to the Assholes. But what we always did was, you had like one or two songs and then you just started playing, right? You found a gig and it didn't really matter, you could just sort of make stuff up. But Talking Heads played for like, I think 6 months as a band, learning these songs. So they were already pretty darn sharp when they started playing at CBGB. I mean, there's a famous anecdote from Johnny Ramone. He was asked if they could open up for him. He said, yeah, they're shittier than us, so they can open up. But but they weren't, I don't think. Maybe not quite as tight. I don't know if that's a long way back to your question, but I mean, I love that movie. I agree with people who say it's the best rock and roll movie ever.
So, in your day job and your career as a poet and former poet laureate of Santa Barbara, you brought a poet's eyes to the lyrics of David Byrne and these Talking Heads songs. And so, are there any songs in particular that kind of define David Byrne's style, or can you describe his style from the lens of a poet?
I would go back to the much maligned True Stories. There's 2 songs on there, Dream Operator and Road to Nowhere. Yes, that's right, that's the concluding song. I think those lyrics are beautiful, that they would stand up on the page. I think a lot of his lyrics stand up on the page, and my friend Eric and I were talking about this the other day. Like, one of the things about a lyricist is, how many cliches do you use, And David Byrne uses almost no cliches. He is really resistant to that. So, I mean, that's the first step towards poetry. I do think that song lyrics aren't quite the same until they're performed. But, I mean, I think a lot of the songs on Fear of Music, Life During Wartime, is that long list of visual images. It's almost like a little short story. But, practically the whole canon.
You're also a bass player, although you're playing guitar today, and Tina Weymouth is the amazing bassist for Talking Heads. And the rhythm section of Tina Weymouth and Chris Franz, her husband, kind of defines part of the sound of the band. And so, rhythmically, what songs kind of represent the Talking Heads sound to you?
Well, I think those 2 were at their best on that first album, because you can hear them, especially Tina's bass. It's so melodic, and it's the hook so frequently in the songs. I feel like as more and more people are added on, and if the Talking Heads story, their second album is more songs about buildings and food, and the famous producer Eno came in and added a lot of layering to that. And then Fear of Music, he was involved in that. I think that's a little bit cleaner maybe. And then the most famous Talking Heads album, Remain in Light, is while there's a lot of bass and drums, it's very repetitive, and you sort of, I think, kind of lose touch with them a little bit. I think they come back in Speaking in Tongues, which is the album that predates Stop Making Sense. And then I think they're really good on True Stories. By the time you get to this album, Naked, has anyone ever listened to Naked by Talking Heads? All right, Zach, yeah, of course. I mean, I think I may be jumping ahead on one of your questions, but that feels to me like that's a David Byrne album. That sort of this big Latin jazz ensembles, and I just feel like maybe they're a little bit lost. I would say one thing about Tina is because I have played bass quite a bit in my life. I felt really, really protective of Tina, and Tina and Dave sort of hate each other, right? So one of the things I always did, and sometimes I feel like Dave Sherman was kind of giving me a little stink eye on this, is I would try and find Tina's point of view, and it would often be pretty harsh.
Yeah. Well, it's the tension that gets resolved in the music,
Right.
but never didn't get resolved in the band, and that's why we haven't heard anything from them in a long time.
Right.
So that kind of leads to my next question. For a band that has all four members living healthy,
Sure.
They seem to get along well enough during the 40th anniversary of Stop Making Sense. Do you think they'll ever play together again? And why do you think they've been kind of resistant to join the reunion surge that almost every other band does?
So there was a rumor that they were offered $80 million to reunite, and they turned it down. I think the reason they were so buddy during there was a re-release in HD of Stop Making Sense, what 2 or 3 years ago, was that they all got a quarter percentage of it. So they all had to sort of show up and be nice. But the reason why I think they will never get together, I'm going to read you a little passage if that's okay. So this is an interview with David Byrne, with the rock writer David Bowman, and so there's a little bit of Bowman's writing, but it says, "I get these bizarre letters from Tina," Byrne said, gritting his teeth. "They'd say, what a fucking dumb jerk and asshole piece of shit I was. It would go into detail how badly I behaved, what a terrible person I was, how hard I was to work with, how unfair I was. It was this thing meant to make me feel real terrible, and how much I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And then in the end she'd go, why don't you want to work with us?" And then this is, "Why in the world don't you want to work with us? What's the matter?" Byrne paused and sighed. "You've answered the question. Look at the beginning of your letter. Look at the end. You've answered it. There's some kind of weird denial going on." And he says in another interview, "It's like being told, you should get back together with your first wife. You were good together." Well, I think most people would pass on an offer like that.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming here tonight, and David Starkey will be here with his books all night long.
So yeah,
Thank you.
If you're kind enough to buy a book, they're $20. I can take Venmo, PayPal, and cash. Cash is king, yes.
So Jenny, there you are. No. There you are.